What's going on, everybody, and welcome to J Sports Seattle. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the Mariners. It's been a while since I've made a Mariners video, since most of my most of my videos have been Seahawks videos, or I just haven't been making videos. But finally, I'm coming around on the Mariners. I've been meaning to make a video for the past few weeks. I've just been swamped up with Seahawks videos and balancing the work life schedule and whatnot. But here we are. I'm going to be talking about kind of just going over what's been going on the past few weeks, and then I'm going to talk about what we have to do for these next 6 games, including the one today, in order to not only clinch a playoff spot, but to finally win this division for the first time since before I was even alive. So, with that being said, if you like the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share for more Mariners and Seattle sports content. And without further ado, let's get on with the video. All right. So, we came off probably one of the, if not the biggest series in recent Mariners franchise history, and that was a sweep against the Houston Astros in Houston. So before entering that series against Houston, we were both 84 and 69, and at that point, basically whoever wins that series wins the division, or at least at the very minimum is making a playoff spot. But no, in general, whoever wins that series, as long as there's no last minute collapse, whoever wins that series wins the division. And the Mariners were the ones that came out on top with not only a series victory but also but a series sweep, which is just magnificent. Because especially a sweep, because let's say you win those first 2 games, great, you're up 2 games in the division, and then you lose that final game. Now you go from being up 3 games in the division to down to 1 game. So you're not giving yourself a lot of wiggle room in terms of if lose to drop one against the Rockies and the Astros won their last 6 straight, then they're in a position to, even though we got the tiebreaker, they could still, take it over us by a game if, they win more games than us in these last 6 games. So firstly, that was a statement series win right there, series sweep against a division rival in their house with playoffs and division titles and aspirations on the line. Just going back just this past month, the Mariners have been arguably the best team in the AL, if not the best team in the league, with the record that we've had. In the last 15 games, we won 14 of them. The only other team that has been as hot as we have are the Cleveland Guardians, and they won 15 of the last 17. But besides them, no other team has been able to go toe for toe in terms of wins than the Seattle Mariners these past months. Also, if you hear some scratching in the background, it's my cat, so apologies for that. But like I said, that series win in Houston is just a massive statement win, and letting not only them know that, hey, your time is up and now it's our time to come through, but it's letting the league know, like, hey, we're no longer sitting around on our asses anymore. These like we have these past few seasons. We're making some noise throughout at the end of the season to make a postseason push. And you know how it works. Usually the hotter teams entering the postseason are the ones that make deep playoff runs. Just look at the Diamondbacks in 2023. They were one of the hottest teams in the entire MLB in 2023, entering the playoffs, and they went ahead and went all the way to the World Series through a wild card berth. So sometimes it's not about who's the best team in general. Sometimes it's the best team entering the playoffs. And right now we are one of the best teams, if not the best team entering the playoffs. So, with that being said, the magic number to win our division is 3. So if we sweep the Rockies, no matter what happens against the Dodgers, we will win the division because of the tiebreaker we have with the Astros. Because even though we are up 3 games on the Astros, we're technically up 4 because of the tiebreaker. Because, like, for example, let's say we sweep the Rockies, and then we lose to the Dodgers. Like then we get swept at home against the Dodgers, and then the Astros, they sweep. They get swept by the A's or whoever they face. I think it's the A's, and then they sweep the Angels. I think they face in the last three games, and then we finish with the same record. Now it's up to a tiebreaker. Let's say it's 90 and 72. At that point, it's up to a tiebreaker, and since we beat them, we would get the division at 90 and 72. But obviously the goal is you want to be able to win the division by not that. You want to be able to win it on your own accord, and that's just by winning your games that you have and clinching the playoffs, clinching the division by basically by your own volition and not having to rely on other people beating other people like we've had the past couple of years, which, last year didn't work out because we missed the playoffs by a game, or was it two? Either way, we missed the playoffs by a game or two last year, and then the year before, same deal. 2023, same deal. Or 2023, same deal. And then obviously in 2022, we have that crazy 15-game winning streak at the end of the season to clinch a postseason appearance. This is a little different because we are in prime position to win our division, albeit we'll be around the same record-wise that we've had in the past couple of years, like that upper 80s, low 90s range. But at least we have the division on the line for that. And it's not just the Mariners. The entire AL is weaker than the NL. Like you look at let's look at the standings. So you look at the Blue Jays. They're not going to finish with more than, I feel like they're not going to finish with more than 93 wins. I just don't think they will. And then the Tigers, they're probably not going to I don't think they're going to reach 90 wins. Not to mention they are playing against the Guardians. This series right here against the Guardians determines who wins the AL Central. And who's going to be a wild card and who's winning the division. So, this is a huge series to keep an eye out for the Mariners as well, because like if we win today and then the Tigers lose to the Guardians, we are 3 games up for that 2 seed, for that bye. So we want to be able to secure that bye, and especially since Brian Wu got injured in that in the start against the Astros. So we're going to need as much time as we can to make sure we have all our guys available for the divisional series, assuming we get this bye. The way that we can clinch the bye is if we win. I think if we win the next 2 and the Tigers lose the next 2, since we have the tiebreaker over the Tigers, we would get the 2 seed, just due to that fact. But as you can see, the Tigers, they are not doing well. They've lost 9 of their 10 games. Last 10 games. They've lost 6 straight entering today. They're not looking good right now. So we are in a good spot to definitely not only to clinch the division, but clinch the 2 seed and get a bye heading into this postseason, which we have not had, I believe, since the year we won 116 games. I don't even think they had a bye then. Maybe they did. I wasn't alive then. But point being, we are in a really, really good spot playoff-wise, because we will skip the wild card series and head straight to the divisional series. So that is massive, and we need to keep the foot on the gas, and we gotta be able to sweep. We have to sweep the Rockies if we want to lock up this division as soon as Thursday. We have to sweep the Rockies. So we can even clinch a playoff spot in general today if we win today and a few other things happen, like if the Yankees lose or if the Red Sox lose. And say obviously if the Guardians lose, we have the tiebreaker on the Guardians. So if we win today and they lose along with a couple other teams that lose, we would clinch a playoff spot today regardless. So, but obviously we're going more than just a playoff appearance. We're going for the division. So we're in a really good spot. This is right now the future, not the future. The destiny is in our hands. We control our own destiny. Not for the first time since. I've really started paying attention to the Mariners, which was like 2021, 22. This is the first time we really put our playoff appearance in our hands, whereas trying to rely on somebody else. So this is really great to see, and I mean, we got to take care of business. We got to sweep the Rockies, and then if we can take 2 out of 3 against the Dodgers, that would be great. Let's get to that 90 to 92 win range, and secure that division. So. I said earlier in the year that, hey, even though like during that time where we kind of going through that skid and we kind of gave up the division lead to the Astros, I said, hey, I'm not going to give up hope just because we gave up a lead. The Astros, we literally did the exact same thing we did last year. No, the Astros did the exact same thing we did last year, in which we had like a multi-game lead. This obviously theirs was less than ours. I think theirs was like a 7-game lead, and then they choked it away in the end. They're literally, the Astros and the Mariners are swapping from last year to this year. Like, it's crazy. But that's okay. I do think that, this is the Mariners' time to shine. And I believe that it's the Mariners' turn next in the division to really kind of solidify ourselves as the top dogs in the division for the foreseeable future. With the Astros, they're not the same as they were after Dusty left. They just have not been the same. They went from going from 7 straight ALCS appearances to getting swept in the first round against swept again in the first round against the Rockies last year, and then they're in danger of missing the playoffs completely this year. Especially after getting swept at home against a division rival. So, let's look at the wild card standings right now. As of right now, the Astros are out of the playoff picture. I know it says here they're in, but since the Guardians have the tiebreaker over the Astros, if the playoffs started today, the Guardians would make it and the Astros would miss it because of that tiebreaker. So, obviously, if the Guardians win today and the Astros lose, they're firmly out of the playoff picture no matter what. I'm going to take a look at some of the live scores that's happening right now. So right now the Guardians are beating the Tigers, and it is does it say what inning it is? I mean, right now it's Montero that's pitching. Right now it's the bottom of the 8th. So, if the Astros lose against the A's, they're in a very, very tough spot. The White Sox are beating the Yankees right now. Let's see. The Twins are beating the Rangers, which I'm not worried about the Rangers because I feel like their playoff hopes are done for. The Astros play at 7. So that's obviously something we'll have to keep an eye out. And then the Rockies the Rockies-Mariners game is at 6:30 or 6:40 Pacific Standard Time. But looking at the Guardians and the Yankees right now, we have the Red Sox and the Blue Jays going at it, with the Blue Jays down to the Red Sox right now. And you know what? I mean, this is a little far-fetched, but there is a good chance. They're not a good chance, but there is a chance that if the Blue Jays keep dropping games and we keep winning, we could potentially overtake them as the first seed in the American League. I would prefer the second seed. The reason being is because if we were the first seed and we would face the winner of. So let's go back to the standings. So if we were the first seed, let's say we were the first seed, we would face the winner of the instead of facing the winner of the Guardians-Tigers series, it would be the winner of the Yankees, or it would be the winner of the the Yankees, Red Sox, or whatever that would be. And we have struggled against the AL East this year so far, and we've done well against the AL Central. So I would rather us have the second seed and go through the winner of the Tigers and Guardians than having to go against the Yankees, who we've struggled against, and then the Red Sox, who I believe we tied against, and then the Blue Jays, who we have a losing record against this year. So I'd rather have the second seed than the first. But it is technically possible for us to still get the first seed. So you never know. But I still would prefer the second seed. But like I'm saying, this is a great position that we are in. We can definitely put ourselves ahead even more by winning against the Rockies today. I feel like we should be able to win. The Rockies have already given up on the season's over. They obviously they want to try to avoid being one of the worst teams of all time. But I feel like that fate has already been sealed. So now, right now they're just playing for pride at this point. So obviously, with that being said, you do not want to underestimate a team that has nothing to play for and literally is only here to play spoiler. So you got to take care of business. And like I said, we got to sweep the Guardians or sweep the Rockies. So, but yeah, like I said, we're in a really good spot. And I'm gonna look over on our team stats this year. So looking at our offense, look at where we are with our runs. We are top 10 in runs scored this year. That is exquisite compared to last year. Last year we were 21st in runs scored. This year, and we only scored 676 total runs in all of 2024. This year in 2025, we've scored nearly 100 more, if not 100 more. Let's see. What were we? 676. And then this year, 741. So yeah, we're nearly 100 more runs at this point in the season scored more than last year. And you see it with our record. Obviously, our record's still kind of the same, but you see our record the past month or so where we've been hot because the offense has been going crazy. And not only that, but the pitching has really shown up recently as well. So going over to the pitching, we are 13th in ERA. So we're not as dominant as we were last year, but we still have an above average pitching squad. So that's really good to see, and that's enough to make some noise in the playoffs, especially since, some of these teams you're not going to be facing until either if you make the World Series or at all, if they get knocked out. Like, for example, what if the Brewers get knocked out and we go to the World Series and they get knocked out by the Padres or something? Or and then, we got other teams like the Giants that are probably not going to make it, the Pirates that are not going to make it, the Royals that aren't going to make it, top 10 in ERA. We don't have to face those guys because they're not going to be in the playoffs. And you look at the teams that are in the playoffs, like the Blue Jays, like the Tigers. They're lower than us in terms of ERA. So this is good to see. And like I said, overall, we control our own destiny, and this is great. So we got to take care of business going into this series against the Rockies, and then obviously we want to be able to take care of business against the Dodgers, who may or may not have something to play for entering that series, depending on if they clinch the division or not. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, we got to keep it locked in, and hopefully we can finish in that with more than 90 wins, which I think we'll be able to. So yeah. But I think that's all I have for this video. I will be making another Mariners video soon, kind of, especially, with the postseason around the corner. After the playoff seeding is all figured out and stuff, I'll make a video previewing the playoffs and kind of hyping ourselves up entering this postseason because, the Mariners have not done anything for the past 20 years outside of 2022. So, I'm going to be talking about that. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, if you like the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share for more Mariners and Seattle sports content. Thank you for stopping by. Have a good night. And go Hawks, go Mariners, and go Kraken.